Most of our problems only exist in our minds, and it's also created by our minds. Because the survival problems that we faced in the past, like not getting eaten by a lion or hunting food, have disappeared, and we live in comfort. Now, our mind's job is to find problems and to keep us safe, to look out for things. But since these serious, like life-threatening problems have disappeared, it's still trying to find some problems, and it's still creating problems even when there is nothing wrong. But there's a way out of this. There is a way out of the illusion of our problems and our thinking minds. Well, at least I read it in a book. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Now that the fancy intro is out of the way and I got your attention, basically what I want to tell you in this video is that most of our problems are made by our minds, and they are not like real problems, not like that serious problems. They have not like no real substance to it. And most of the time, they are just like silly problems, first world problems. These problems are just created by your mind. Like it's just like splurring out a bunch of problems that you believe that they are actually your problems. But once you realize that it's just your mind like panicking and saying that there's a bunch of problems, once you realize that, it can actually be really liberating. And to explain this a little bit more, I may explain about the source of your problems. First, if you're watching this video, you're probably living better than a medieval king. Like really, I'm not joking. You probably have access to clean water, to food, to medicine, to a dishwasher, to a stove, to a fridge, to a vacuum cleaner, a microwave. And you probably get your food from a grocery store or a restaurant, and you probably go to get that food most of the time with a car or with a bicycle or with some kind of public transportation. And now just think about this, that not so long ago, just gathering food, transporting it, storing it, preparing it, getting clean water took hours of work every single day. And now that work has been just liberated by the amazing technologies that we have today. And yet, how much we complain. How much we complain about our car, or that the bus was late, or that, oh, I get to get milk again because we ran out of milk. Or how much we complain about traffic, or how much it takes to get to somewhere. Or how much we complain about these amazing technologies that we have that save us so much time. Because we create these problems. Our thinking mind just keeps finding problems everywhere. Now, this is not a guilt trip about how good you have it. This is just to show you the true source of your problems. It's your mind. All of the first world problems are a creation of the mind. Because as we got more comfortable, as our life got easier and easier, we had less and less to do. So our mind expanded the mental box of what it considers as a problem. Because like a bunch of years ago, hundreds of years ago, the problem was getting food and staying alive. And today, the problem is that I don't have the latest iPhone, or that my phone quality, the quality of the sound is not that great. So our mind just expanded the category of what it thinks a problem is. And our mind does this to find problems to solve. Because that's its job. That's what it's gotta do, to find problems to solve. And it creates these problems that might not even be real. Even when there is nothing wrong. We are living like kings. But yet our mind still finds these little imperfections. And now that's a huge problem that we have. For example, let's say that you buy a beautiful, a very nice and warm sweater. And you bring it home and you see that there's a very tiny, small red dot on it. And now your mind categorizes it and puts it in the mental box of bad and wrong, and you can't wear this anymore. There's this imperfection in it and it's bad. Even though the sweater did its job, it's beautiful, it's keeping you warm, it's nice, very great texture, everything. But your mind just, because of that very small imperfection, decided that nope, this is a bad sweater, I'm not wearing that. Or you have a bad hair day. Even though no one notices your hair really when you have a bad hair day, no one cares. But you think that it's the end of the world, that you have a bad hair day, oh, what everyone will think about me. These are the problems that we have today. Imagine explaining these kind of problems to someone 300 years ago. Now, of course, I'm not saying that we don't have real problems. We do have real problems like poverty or disease. All I'm saying is that most of our problems are just silly and they only exist in our minds. And even though these problems are only abstractions, that's what I really mean by saying that they only exist in our mind, that they are abstractions, they are thoughts, they are detachments from reality. They can still have an impact on our reality, even though they are just abstractions. You notice if you have, or you had, or you've seen someone have a panic attack, those abstractions can have real world effects. Now, most of the time, our problems arise because our mind categorizes a lot. It puts things into these mental boxes of good, bad, dangerous, desirable. And to categorize, you need to compare. And comparing brings problems. Oh, I don't have that great shoe as the other guy has, or on and on and on. And this is not bad by itself, this categorization. The problem comes when we identify too much with our thinking mind and our problems. When we think that it's us, that's us, it's our problem, then the problems that our mind created becomes our problem. And how we can solve this is by putting some space between who we really are and our thinking mind and the problems that it creates. And I forgot to mention that the things that I talk about in this video are from the book The No Self, No Problem workbook by Chris Niebauer. It's a very nice book. It talks about neuropsychology and how it relates to Buddhism. Very cool book. And I actually want to do with you an exercise from this book. Basically, think about the problems that you have right now. Just think about what are some problems that you are facing right now. And you can just list them down, write them down. What are some these problems in your life? And then see if you can decide which one is the silliest. Which one of your problems is the stupidest problem? If you're stuck with finding some problems, let me help you out with some examples. For example, my new shoes are too tight and not worn out yet. Or the air conditioning is too cold. Last night's pizza was delivered late and it wasn't as hot as I wanted it. My car doesn't shift between gears as smoothly as I wanted. My phone's sound quality is not as good as my friend's. So think about those problems that you have, and once you have those problems written down or just in your mind, answer these questions. Is it really you making these silly complaints? Isn't there a part of you that knows these problems are silly, almost laughable? Where does that feeling come from? How could the part that is laughing come from the same place that is creating the problem? So you can answer these questions, write them down, whatever you want. This really helps you to put some space between who you truly are and the problems that your thinking mind creates. Another great practice or exercise that you can do, imagine going back in time, 300 years back in time, and explaining your problems to a person from 300 years ago. Really go into this. Imagine explaining to someone 300 years ago that the pizza arrived late and it's not as hot that you wanted it. Or that you got bad phone reception. Or that, oh, I don't have the latest iPhone. Imagine telling that to that person. He would just smack you in the face and tell you, what are you talking about? These are not problems. So that's also a great exercise. Now let me tell you about a very interesting study that I read about in this book. If you're not interested, you can skip to the next section, but basically it's about problem inflation. How our minds creates problems and just inflates them even when there is no problem. What the study went is that they had participants, these people, and they were in 3 groups. one of the group had to watch some images pop up on a screen and tell the doctors or whoever, or press a button, I don't know how it was, whenever they saw a red or a blue dot, the other group had to tell something or press a button or whatever when they saw a scary face or a threatening face. They showed them faces. They had to press a button when they saw a threatening face, and the other group had to press the button when they read about an unethical paper. And the trick was that as the time went on, the researchers decreased the amount of times these things appeared. So as the time went on, less and less blue dots appeared, less and less threatening faces appeared, less and less unethical papers appeared. And it went, as it went on, these dots and the faces, they disappeared. Like, they no longer show them blue dots or threatening faces or unethical papers. And now you would think that they would just stop pressing the button because there are no more red blue dots, there are no more threatening faces. But that was not the case. They redefined what the problem was so that they could keep finding more. Basically, they expanded what the category of the problem was. For example, if there was a purple dot, they considered that as a blue dot and pressed the button. If there was like a neutral face, they considered it as threatening and pressed the button. Or their minds did this because to find more problems, even when there are no problems. The mind inflated the category to make sure that it finds more problems. And do you know what's interesting? They did this, the participants, even when they were told to expect this. Even when they were told that this is what's going to happen. You will expand this category, you will press the button when you will see purple dots, and they still did it. Now this just shows you that your mind just inflates your problems and finds all sorts of little details that you can complain about and that can become a huge problem in your life. And as the study showed, even when your mind knows that it's creating these silly problems, you can't stop it from creating it. So this is why this practice can help a lot. The next time you're fixated on a problem, realize that it's not really you who is making these judgments. And remember that your mind tends to shine the spotlight on the very small flaws in something. And it tends to ignore the rest. It tends to ignore the big picture where there's abundance. So just remember this, that your mind, it just focuses on the bad, on the little small imperfections. And then you can ask yourself this question: am I focusing on only a small part of reality and calling it a problem, and at the same time missing out on everything that is perfect as it is? So you can just refocus when you have a problem. Change your attention to something else, because you can do that. You can choose what to be, where your attention goes. Change it to something more positive. Try to see it from a different perspective. See something that you're grateful for. See something that you're thankful for. Gratitude can truly help a lot. It's such a great tool. Expressing gratitude. Finding what's good in this problem that you have. Try to tell the story a different way. And if you want to learn more, I highly recommend reading this book. It's actually very good. I like it a lot. A lot of practical things in it. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment. Very interested. Might have told you a bunch of bullshit in this video, so you don't have to listen to me. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. All the love towards you. Have a great day and goodbye.